moment to breathe, grab a beverage or two. We got professional guests with lots of stories for you. So take a seat right here and join us on Careers Over Beers.
Roll right into it.
All right.
This is Careers Over Beers podcast, folks. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. It's very much appreciated. Today, my guest comes all the way from South Korea. That'd be pretty cool, though, if it was North, right?
I have been to North Korea, actually.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
What was that like?
Just across the border. It's Panmunjom, where they signed the armistice. Mm-hmm. And technically, Korea is still at war.
Yeah.
They are. But if you remember Trump, when he met Kim Jong-un.
Walked across the border.
And they met. That's where I've been.
Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
You can go across the border and
bizarre tensions up there.
Stand next to a North Korean and take a picture.
They let you do that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's a North Korean and a South Korean military guy that they find the biggest, baddest dudes, and they stand next to each other, and
really,
it's a lot of pomp and
they just stare at each other.
Well, they just kind of stare ahead. They might as well be mannequins, honestly. They really are.
Such a bizarre thing.
It's a bizarre world.
It's bizarre that there's a country like that in 2022 during our lifetimes. That it's just up there, and people are living in a dictatorship.
Yeah, and if we could get into it, but it'd be.
We'll get into it.
The second hour that has to be paid. But I could make a case for North Korea to be, for the United States to want North Korea to be North Korea.
Is that right?
It's beneficial for North Korea to be there for the United States. It really is.
We'll dig into that.
Because if North Korea wasn't there, then the United States wouldn't have any reason to still be in South Korea. And that's a fact.
Yeah,
it's just geopolitical.
Got to keep your jobs.
Chess.
Yeah, you don't want your jobs to go away.
Yeah. So I mean, Kim Jong-un, the third generation of that.
Yep.
It's
a weird thing.
He's there for a reason, and he could have been taken out a long time ago. But anyways,
tell us your name and where you come from.
Okay, my name is Stephen with a PH, with Walker.
So and Stefan.
Well, I've been called all kinds of different names over the years. Stefan, Steven, Steve, Satiban in Korea. Satiban or Satapan. But yeah, Stephen Walker. I went by Steve back in the day when I used to cruise these streets because I am from out in this area. I'm from West Wichita.
Yep.
And went to Andale High
Shout
School
out.
and St. Mark's grade school. So I basically grew up, if you know where Eberly Farms is or was or is still.
Yep, sure.
Right in that area. That's where I kind of grew up. So.
Right on, man. And now you're up in South Korea.
I'm in South Korea.
You're back for the holidays or something?
Back for the holidays, 3 weeks.
Right on.
So.
And let's start drinking.
Yeah.
I'm thirsty.
I've got a few things here as well.
What do you want to start with? You want to start with beers? You want to start with what you brought?
Well, I brought beer as well. Now, that's... Ooh, you know what that one is?
Bud Heavy Pounder.
Okay, now...
We call that diesel fuel.
All right. Oh, really?
I don't know.
We used to call it something very different. Now, this thing here, this is from Korea. With love.
With love?
From Korea.
I'm not going to see a green fairy from drinking this shit, am
I? No, it's not. It's not that exciting. This is called soju.
Okay.
And it's basically the Korean vodka made from rice.
Made from rice.
And this soju is from Jeju Island, which is the largest island off the south part of the peninsula. So if you don't know anything about Korea, Korea's a peninsula. And it's nestled between China, Japan, and then to the north is North Korea. And then north of North Korea is Russia. So you got Russia, China, and Japan surrounding this small peninsula. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that South Korea is still a sovereign country says a lot to...
It's pretty amazing.
To the tenacity of the South Koreans.
Yeah.
They're hardworking mofos, man. I mean, a lot of respect to them in a lot of ways.
They have a lot of fun, too. Drink a lot of soju. I know a lot of people that have gone up there and worked up there.
Alcohol is part of their culture, for sure. Even more back in the day when I first got there. Because I've been there for many years now.
Yeah.
But, so I'm just going to, I guess,
teach me.
I went to the liquor store and I couldn't find Korean beer, but I brought that that's easy to transport. But so now that's a Japanese beer, and that would be probably sacrilegious to Koreans if I mixed soju with
beer.
Japanese beer. So I figured we'll just have a East meets West kind of thing.
We're gonna do a Budweiser.
So basically, so in Korea, beer is called mekju, and then that's soju. So ju, mekju, soju is kind of the alcohol thing.
So Jew means alcohol?
Basically, or sul.
Means something totally different here.
Yeah, that's true. And it's been that's
hot
been
topic right now.
Yay.
Don't be throwing it around.
Say yay. So I'm going to apologize for my voice, though. I've got a bit of a congestion from the Kansas wind I guess I'm not used to.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
So basically, they'll do a shot. And one more thing, in Korea, they often pour for someone. You don't pour your own.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, it does just smell like vodka.
Yeah,
kind
it really
of. Maybe.
is. It's just made from rice.
So, does it taste a lot different than vodka?
We'll give it a little bit of a snort,
nip,
but not the whole thing. I've got more.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just.
I don't think I would be able to tell the difference if you had both in front of me.
No.
Maybe a little bit smoother, more like a sake type flavor.
I don't want to overflow this.
Yeah, I don't.
So, let's just try it.
This is kind of odd. Yeah, I feel like I'm drinking. Well, basically, we are drinking beer and vodka, right?
Yeah, and so this is
popular in Korea.
It is. It's called somek, which is soju mekju, which is basically vodka beer, and they drop the shot glass in there and then one shot, and then get the night started. So
same thing, I guess, as like you were saying, Jaeger bomb or
yeah, the Irish
car bomb.
Car bomb, basically the same concept.
Yeah. Well,
so, anyways, have you had any Korean alcohol before?
I don't think so.
No?
I've been to some sushi places, and I've probably had some stuff that I didn't know. I know I've had plenty of sake, but I don't think I've
Japanese.
Yeah, so probably not.
All right. Well, let's just. Okay.
We're cheersing. How do they do it in Korea?
If we just want to cheers, we'll just say gunbae.
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 Okay.
And then drop that in there.
Then chug it.
And then chug it. Ooh, one shot.
Ooh,
that's refreshing.
It really is. I mean,
yeah, you can't taste you can't taste the.
I was expecting a little bit more of a bite.
Well,
that's
I'll leave that with
smooth.
You.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
And I'll leave that with you as well.
Soju.
Soju. It's basically from rice. It's made from rice. A lot of things
normal
are made
vodka
from rice.
is made from potatoes.
Potato. Yeah, Russian
vodka. They love their vodka up there, don't they? Especially in Russia. Oh yeah.
It's breakfast. It's what's for breakfast.
Now
lunch and dinner.
I got some Sam Adams for us.
That's perfect. I haven't had one of these in a long time. I haven't been home in 3 years. So
3 years? Wow. Well, welcome back, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
This is exciting. Tell people what you do exactly up there.
What I do is I teach at a university. I'm in the English department at a university in a town called Cheonan. And if you know Seoul, you've heard of Seoul, South Korea.
Yep.
Seoul is in the north west part of the peninsula, and then if you just go south, about an hour and a half. Well, let's see. It's not a big peninsula. Now, let me just give you like a geographical reference. So South Korea is about the same size as the state of Indiana. Okay? So geographically, that's the size of it.
So it's nothing to drive across the entire country.
Nothing. I mean, I just drove to Kansas City and back this last 2 days ago. That's basically me going down from Seoul to Busan and back to Seoul again. But they have a shitload of people. I mean, it's like Indiana has maybe 10 million. and Korea has about 57 million.
Yeah. Well, they don't have the land. People don't buy land like they do here in America, do they?
And they can't really, because it's a very mountainous country.
Yeah.
It's called the Rock, the Republic of Korea, and it is a rock. It's mountainous all over the place. I mean, they've got, with mountains you have valleys, and then with valleys you can grow the rice and whatever. But
so it's probably like it feels like you're driving.
It's all apartments.
Yeah.
When I first arrived, we're driving into Seoul, and I'm like, well, is this like a university or something? This looks like KU kind of dormitories. And it's like, oh no, that's apartments, and it's just like dominoes. They just look like dominoes all the way down the skyline.
It's crazy, man.
It really is.
I heard a good analogy the other day. Somebody said, to Europeans and I guess non-Americans, 1,000 miles is a long ways.
All right, this is very...
Oh, yeah.
How to figure that out.
Yeah. Those are pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, a coworker made those for me.
Right on.
But, so yeah, I heard this analogy, and they said basically like non-Americans, 1,000 miles is a long ways. And to Americans, 1,000 years is a long time. But overseas, especially in Europe, there's castles all over the place that were built thousands of years ago.
That's right.
Here, it's like if anything's before 1700, you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, then you got to do some research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting, yeah. And it probably feels like you're driving a lot further when you're going through those mountains and valleys.
Well, I mean, they have a main kind of north to south and a number of east to west main roads, but one main artery.
Yeah. And
that goes from Seoul to Busan through a number of the larger cities. But
isn't the Air Force Base around Seoul too?
They used to have Yongsan, which was downtown. It was called near a place called Itaewon, and Itaewon was in the news just recently about 150 Halloween party goers were all killed.
Oh God!
If you
heard
that, that was in Itaewon, and right next to Itaewon was the garrison for the military for years and years, and then they just moved it south. They moved out of Seoul. But that area kind of grew up around the base, and a lot of bars.
Yeah,
pretty dirty little place to go and have some fun.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some stories, man. When you were younger.
Yeah, so I'm an older.
How long have you been there now?
I first went in January of 2000.
Okay. So wow.
I'll just give you real quick. I mean, how did I get there? Maybe it might be an interesting question.
Yeah, for sure.
So I graduated here at Andale, and then I went to Benedictine, so I'm representing my alma mater here up in Atchison, Kansas, near Kansas City. Do you know Benedictine?
I do, actually.
Okay.
I had a buddy go there.
It's a great school. A lot of good people there. And then I majored in journalism, mass communication, so I went to work at Cake TV, Channel 10 here on the west end of Wichita, and worked there for 3 years. Production and then news, and I was a video editor for a year because I wanted to get into be a video go around with the reporter. And
so your degree was in journalism,
mass communications,
and then you did video on your own.
I did editing at Channel 10.
Did you learn that on your own, or did you learn that in school?
I learned. I mean, this was back in so I graduated Benedictine in '94.
So things were a little different.
It was all lit. I mean, we were working 3/4 inch tape, shuttling back and forth, and it was a real bitch. I mean, at Cake TV, if you know Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you know that whole concept?
I do.
That was me.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, that was a nice man. When I worked production, I got in right at the end of I got in at the end of actual
going all software based.
When I quit after 3 years, they were going digital.
Yeah.
They got this thing called the Cube, and it was like all just nonlinear digital editing. And I'm like, yeah, but I think I got to get out of here, man.
You bailed before it got easy.
I bailed before it got easy. That's my life, man.
Now you can watch a YouTube tutorial on any kind of editing software.
Yeah. And everybody's able to do it. And I commend you for doing it. I mean, I'm just looking around. I mean, simple.
Yeah.
Technology's come a long way.
It has,
and
man. This was
I
no
mean,
joke for me to set this
We
up.
used to have huge, like mammoth studio cameras.
Yeah.
We had 3 people in the studio. This was working with Larry Hatteberg, Susan Peters, and I was the last person with the Mike and Mogi show. I was the camera guy and floor director and did all of that.
Damn,
I don't know if you remember that show.
I don't.
Your dad would. Mike and Mogi Langston.
Mike and Mogi?
Mike Oatman, he was KFDI. He owned KFDI so he'd come in to cake and just. It was a 1 hour show in which we invited just Wichita in.
Mm-hmm.
It was right before the noon newscast, and yeah, Mike Oatman and Mogi, we invited like people from Crown Uptown, like, if there was a play going on or singers coming in.
Yep.
Different cooks making, we had a kitchen in the studio, and it was all just live. It was straight live TV. And then once that's done, then you shuttle from Studio B into Studio A and set up for the news, and it was exciting.
That really encapsulates like an era of television.
I enjoyed production a lot.
Right.
And I worked production for 2 years, but news broke my spirit, man. It's like, no news is good news. That's a fact.
That is.
I quit. And
you got to search for bad stories all day long, basically.
If it bleeds, it leads.
It does.
It's a very simple concept.
Yep.
And then sex sells, and that therein lies your your advertising.
Yep.
And fear.
It's a whole machine.
And fear. Pharmaceuticals, and
yeah.
You watch whatever's on, the 2-minute advertising between the news and the whatever. Whenever it goes to advertising, who's paying for this air.
Is it?
You're paying for air. That's all it is.
Have you ever seen Idiocracy?
I did, yeah.
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 It's very similar.
Not
in a lot of ways,
off,
right?
Not far off.
It's a whole machine.
Mm-hmm.
And we could get into the conspiracies, but
we could. But that would be hour 3. That would be hour 3.
You got to pay a lot to see that episode, because I don't get into politics on this.
I'll do it for free. No, I don't want to get into politics either.
But speaking of like pharmaceuticals and stuff, COVID, it made me think of COVID. What was that like in North or South? I keep saying North.
I know.
Why do I keep saying North
I'll
Korea?
tell you why. Because that's all you hear on the news.
Probably, dude. It's ingrained in my head, isn't it?
I tell my students
every headline.
I tell my students all the time. It's like, those are the first 3 questions. Hello, what's your name? Where are you from? What are your hobbies? Those are the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, oh, well, I'm from Korea. It's like, well, which one? It's like, what? It's like, well, there's North Korea and South Korea. Oh, South Korea. It's like, well, is it important? I was like, I don't know. Korea. It's like, well, if you're now the point that the reason that you're studying English as a second language is travel or commerce, maybe working with English, but the people that you're going to be coming across, they're going to hear Korea and they're automatically going to think North Korea, because that's all they hear on TV, and it's always negative. Now, just recently, you have Psy and Gangnam Style and maybe BTS, if you know who they are.
I don't.
It's a K-pop band, boy band.
Mm-hmm.
All shit.
Are you into that stuff?
No. I love my music. I love soul. I love music that has passion and people that can play an instrument, write a song,
likewise,
drink a whiskey and wake up and do it all over again.
Sit in your chair and ponder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, South Korea. That's why, and so I ingrained that into them. It's like, you're from South Korea, because there are 2 Koreas, and most people are going to say North Korea all the time.
So you're at a university. You're teaching adults.
No, well, they're university students. They're young adults,
but they're making their own decision at this point to learn English. It's not something that's mandatory.
All right. So before I answer that question, let me bring you up to why I am there. Because I finished Cake TV after 3 years. I'm like, I'm out of here. So I joined the Peace Corps, the United States Peace Corps, and then I went to the Gambia, West Africa. And technically that's a 2-year stint.
Yep.
I lasted about 1.5 years, and then I got out on good behavior.
What does that mean?
Well, basically I quit. It's like, I've had enough.
You were just sick of it?
Yeah.
You only had 6 months left.
Well, and a bit of change.
Okay.
But I lived in Mandinka village, 2/3 of the way up the country, and this is the Gambia. So the Gambia is on the west. If you know the continent of Mama Africa, the big bulge on the northwest. You have Senegal. You know where Senegal is.
Sure.
Senegal surrounds the Gambia on the northeast and south. So the Gambia is a very tiny little
Just
country.
a little divot in there.
That runs along the Gambian River. And if you look at the boundary of that country,
I'm going to look it up.
Look it up.
Yeah.
It looks like a lower intestine. And the reason that it looks like that is because back in the colonial days when now Senegal was colonized by the French, and then the Gambia was colonized by the Brits. So the British went up the river because they wanted the river. The Gambia, Gambia.
Yeah. It's kind of a bad picture, but
Yeah.
I see what you're saying now.
Senegal, and then you can see that little. It's called
Right above Guinea?
It's called the Smiling Coast. So they basically took it for trade and slave trade as well as minerals and resources, but primarily slaves back in the day because there's still old depots where, like Goree Island and Georgetown and a number of places that, the slaves would be held and then
Are you talking about
down
during
the river.
Are you talking about during the slave trade, like when
Yeah,
America was
exactly.
buying slaves?
Well, America, South America.
Or did they continue to sell
Europe.
slaves after America abolished it?
Yeah, I mean, slaves is the whole thing of slavery is still alive and kicking.
Sure. Yeah. I've
but-
seen
but-
statistics on that.
But I'm talking about like
The actual old
the
school slave trade.
glory days of when they were really pulling, and the majority of slaves from West Africa and the slave coast, all the way down the west coast of Africa, the majority went to South America and Central America, Brazil,
Yep.
Portugal, and all of because the Portuguese, the Spanish, and I mean that's a whole nother. We could go off on there.
Go
That's
into a
not.
bunch
We're
of
not
stuff.
talking about South Korea. All right. So, anyways, Peace Corps. I finished Peace Corps, came back home, but in Peace Corps, I lived in a mud hut, no electricity, no running water. So I'm like, year and a half. That's pretty good. And
I commend
then
you.
I came back to Wichita and worked at KSN for a year, and then I had itchy feet, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I want to. So I found this job in Seoul teaching at a hagwon, and a hagwon it's Korean for an academy, which is a private academy. So there are tons of academies, hagwons, all throughout the country, and it's basically it can be a art hagwon, a math, science, language, Chinese, Japanese, English, and so the parents will pay these hagwons for their children to go there and do an extra hour of cramming, basically. Education, I mean, they're very highly literate people.
Compared to us
Highly,
in America.
highly. I mean, education is key. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily smart, because you have book smart and then you have street smart,
True.
and which one is more conducive to a well-rounded person, because
Probably a mixture of both.
I
Right?
would like to think so. I'd like to think a mixture of both is good, but
Yeah.
So anyways, I worked at a hagwon for a year in Seoul, and I met a lot of interesting people and had a good time. Taught really young children from kindergarten, and as the day progressed, I finished teaching like middle school students
And you were teaching them English.
English. And I wasn't a teacher because I never studied.
Well,
I
that's
never
one thing I
studied
wanted to
teaching.
know is, like,
I never did.
What kind of a credentials do you have to teach English to somebody that doesn't speak English? Because if you want to be an English professor in
Yeah.
America,
Oh yeah,
that's a pretty prestigious position, isn't it?
I would like to think so.
You got to know like all the ins and outs. You better be on top of your shit with grammar. I don't know.
Grammar is important, but for what I did, it was more conversational and like pronunciation and culture exchange, and
Yeah, because a lot of it is culture and
because when they get into the grammar, then they usually have Korean professors that majored in English teaching them, let's bring down where's the noun and the adverb and Here's the prepositional phrase and all that boring,
And you're not necessarily
all that
doing
boring
that.
stuff.
All the stuff that we forgot about that we learned in
all
school.
the stuff that I hated at Andale. It's like, man, just get me out of here.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be a teacher at all. Never came across my mind. So therein lies, to people that are watching this and wondering what they want to do, do something for a year or two, and if you don't like it, find something else.
Yeah.
And then slowly it'll work its way out, and you'll be gaining skills and abilities along the way, and you can build on that and create something down the road. Because a lot of people, when you graduate university, you still really don't know what you want to do you? You
No.
graduated from K-State?
No, I actually still haven't technically
Okay. But
graduated
you're a
yet.
K-State fan.
I've been to 5 different schools.
Okay.
I'm currently at Friends University.
Okay,
Right now.
all right.
Yeah.
So then what are you majoring in?
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I already do that for a full-time position. I kind of went the experience route first. I joined the military, learned all my skill sets there, and then
Was that
just
the Air Force?
Yeah.
You were in the Air Force.
I joined the Air Force, yep. Learned all of my skill sets there. Never, ever imagined I'd be working in the tech field with computers. It wasn't my thing at all growing up. I'm more of an outdoorsy kid,
Yeah.
So I learned all of that, and then I learned the skill set. I chose the occupation because it had a bonus. I was planning on just paying for my college and getting out and doing my own thing, and I ended up learning that, wow, this is the way the world is going. I now have this skill set that I have experience in. I'm gaining more experience by the year just being in, and that just ended up with me staying in this, and I'm still working it right now.
Cybersecurity.
So the degree's not necessarily that important for me because I now have so much experience.
That's the name of the game right there is
yeah.
experience.
But I want to get it still just to have it.
Friends.
So it's all, Friends University.
Right.
They have a good program.
And then what do you do for a job?
That's what I do for a full-time job.
Oh, you do now?
Yep.
Okay.
I work out at McConnell Air Force Base right now.
All right. Yeah, I thought you were out east
Yep.
doing something.
At the base,
Right.
working cyber.
And you were in the military how long?
I'm still in the reserves.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Still in. So
Yeah, I never, Peace Corps, they always say, is that military? No, Peace Corps is peace, baby. But,
no arms.
No, and no money.
What made you join the Peace Corps?
No money. Well, I wanted to get out of. When I was a video producer, I was in charge of downloading these feeds, the live feeds for the 5, 6, and 10 o'clock news, and it was 3/4 inch tape and shoved in the big machines and record. All this stuff was manual, and so I'd be watching these different international, national feeds coming down from the satellites in my little. It was literally like a cell block. It was about that same size, little Edip A, and I was just watching all these videos of places from around the world. I'm like, man, I gotta. And I'm sitting here looking at myself in this little cement block cell, seriously stressed out. I had like a knot between my shoulders every time I'd walk in the door for the news department. I love production. I learned a lot, but news.
You can't work a job like that for a long time. That makes you feel
It'd kill
that way.
you. It'd kill you. Stress is the number one killer, man. So it really it'll kill you in a number of different ways. And so I just had to get out. And then so one of my sisters, she was Peace Corps when I was in high school, and she went to Nepal. And so that's how I kind of knew about what Peace Corps was, but I never thought I'd ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the loan situation from going to a small liberal arts Catholic college, and it's like, yeah, we like your money, and you can take loans out. you can take that 10-year loan out, 20-year, no problem.
No problem.
We'll set you up.
Yeah.
So then I couldn't quit. I couldn't, but Peace Corps would, push the loan while you're out doing good.
What are you doing
in Peace Corps?
Yeah.
I was a natural resource volunteer, which meant fuck all. No. I worked at Reflection. I actually helped build a Reflection Ridge right down the road on 21st Street and Ridge, that golf course.
Yeah.
I was there for 3 summers.
That's a nice golf course.
Helped like in the stage of building the sand traps and the
Really?
berms and all that stuff.
That's
back in high
badass.
school. So I learned, like greenskeeping and that whole thing. So natural resource in the Peace Corps is basically what I had to do was work with. It's all local. It's all grassroots, and it's about basically, quote unquote, teaching or passing on knowledge on environmentally friendly ways to get more out of the land. And then if you know Senegal, north of Senegal is the Sahara Desert, and it's slowly moving south because people basically, there's no electricity, so what do they have to use for energy? They have to cut their trees. And so, the problem is they're cutting the trees, but they're not planting. And so our initiative was, obviously you cut one and you plant 3. And then like wet season, dry season garden techniques, and I also taught. That's when I first started teaching. There was an elementary school in my village, so I started teaching art classes, but I wasn't teaching any English.
At this time, you had no intent.
Peace Corps. It depends on. There's education, there's health, there's water, sanitation. There's all kinds of different sections that people can go as a volunteer. Mine was natural resource, so that's what I kind of had to focus on. So once you're in your village, you are alone.
So you don't have a boss, like
no. I woke up and no.
You just did whatever you wanted.
No. Yeah, you make friends with the locals, and then you should choose a few that seem to show initiative, have some drive, and then you basically are sharing culture. You learn from them, they learn from you. Those are 2 of the concepts that Peace Corps tries to promote.
So you weren't clocking in or anything?
No. How do you clock in when there's no electricity? I woke up.
I don't know.
I woke up sweating.
So you had no electricity, no phone, no computer.
No, that was before. I didn't have a phone until I got to Korea. That was the first time I ever had a cell phone. It was writing letters, man. This was Peace Corps. That was in I graduated 94 to 97, Cake TV, and then 97 to 99 was Peace Corps. And then in 2000, I went to Korea. And so basically,
not straight
to answer that question,
you came back to the States first.
I did. I came back for 1 year and I worked at KSN, and then
that's where KSN
and that's when I'm like, I'm totally done with news. And that's when Peace Corps sent, how do you get this job? How do you get a job? And if you're interested in teaching overseas, not necessarily Korea, but Vietnam, China, Japan. I've taught in the Czech Republic and Europe as well. But so what initiated mine was Peace Corps sent out this thing called the hot zone or something. It was basically national, international jobs for return volunteers to kind of help them get on their feet. And so I'm like, opening this little brochure and it's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. No. Teach English in Asia. Well, I might be able to do that. I speak English. And I want to see Asia because I kind of had itchy feet at that time. Africa kind of gave me a glimpse into, before that I was only down in Mexico for spring break once, That was the only time I got out of...
So Africa actually made you more eager to go out and explore rather than come back to the States and stay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it did.
That's pretty cool. At least it didn't scare you off.
Not at all. No, I met a lot of interesting people. I met people from all over the world working VSO, which is volunteer service overseas. Peace Corps is American. VSO is more European, Canadian. I met French, and I dated a girl from the Wirral, which is Liverpool, near...
The Beatles.
Yeah, I went and visited her.
Nice.
She was a VSO in the Gambia, so I hung out in the cavern. I was a Beatlemaniac when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Big time.
I've gotten more into them lately.
I love when
I was younger.
But now that's a whole nother conspiracy thing. That's hour 4.
Paul's dead.
Well, Well, we won't necessarily go there.
Paul
but,
McCartney, if you're listening to this right
Fall.
now. Yeah.
Billy.
Admit it.
Billy.
Do the DNA test.
Billy's back.
No, well, that's cool, man. I mean, a lot of people probably have that idea, and especially now when you can look on social media at all these people that are travelers and influencers, for you to go ahead and take the leap and go out there, most people are afraid to do that. And that's pretty important.
I suppose so, because I don't know. I don't know really. I mean, I'm the youngest of 9 kids. I grew up in a big, large Catholic, semi-conservative family out here in the West End, and I really don't know what the catalyst was that kind of lit the fire. I think it was just the fact that I hated news so much.
I needed
to get not that I have anything to do, or not that I despise or dislike anyone that works in the industry, because I met a lot of great people there too. I still have them as friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw you were interviewing a woman for Good Morning Kansas,
Jillian Carroll. Yep,
and
she's great.
That was KSN.
That was KSN.
That's
yep.
KSN.
That's KSN. But she's the opposite.
And I think she works with a guy I know as well, Greg McFadden.
Yep.
He was a classmate out at Andale.
Oh, was he really? Yeah. I've actually been in contact with him a little bit here.
Yeah, he was in my class.
Her thing was really cool because she wasn't explaining, or what's the word I'm looking for here? She wasn't a news anchor. She was very adamant about that. Like, I've never been a news anchor.
Right.
So she's started her own show, basically, that she got kind of influence from Kansas City, where she was at, came down here, and her whole thing was just highlighting people that are doing cool things.
Kind of like what you're doing.
Well, basically, yeah. But she was doing it for a news channel, and it was the opposite of what they normally do. Normally, like you said, if it bleeds, it leads.
That's news.
She was doing, and that's why I respected her show so much, because she's just making interesting people part of the day when you're watching it.
That's very important, and I commend it.
Yeah,
and I
too.
support it wholeheartedly, because our whole we do a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. 5 o'clock was local, 6 o'clock was more national, and then 10 o'clock was a bit of both.
Yeah.
And then, it was all, the news is, dire natural disasters, accidents, drownings, the whole thing. And then at the very end, you have it's called the fluff piece, where you're watching ducks swim around in a pond or something, with a bit of a,
Yeah, they call that eye bleach on Reddit.
Eye bleach? Fluffy. Yeah, it's just fluff.
Yeah, eye bleach. Just something to bleach your eyes out after you watched a bunch of shit for 3 hours.
But the problem is now it's 24/7, so it's like the people that are really hardcore into the fear porn, yeah, they get it.
They do.
They get it as much as they want.
That's hurting the news networks too, It's not the same as when you were in it.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's not. There aren't any reporters anymore. I would make the case that there aren't any reporters anymore, as far as not local necessarily, but like the international, like, it's just a huge. I mean, Fox is Fox. CNN is over here. It's pundits, really. It's talking heads that kind of follow the narrative of who's paying for their error.
They're just opposing teams.
They are. That's just like the Democrats and Republicans. You got two wings to the same bird, man.
You have red team, blue team.
Yeah, rah, rah.
Who are you playing for?
Yeah.
That's a whole different discussion. But when you look at it from the outside, it's like, oh, these are just two opposing teams, like in sports.
Yeah, trying to outdo each other. It's always 51-49 whenever the elections come through.
Yeah.
Very strange.
That is odd.
51-49. How's that work?
I don't know.
Really that divided?
I don't know.
Anyways.
I think we'd do better with more parties, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, England, I think, Korea even has a number of different parties. They have like upwards of 6 or 7 people. And the president in South Korea, they can only run for 1 5-year term, and then they're done.
Done forever.
Yeah, they can't they're done. Now,
I like North Korea's model.
Just
one guy running the show forever.
Running it into the ground.
There's
get
people
diabetes and rotten liver along the way. Kim Jong-un, I'm talking to you, buddy. I know what you're doing.
Well, that's what most of us Americans do.
Touche.
He did invent the hamburger.
Who did?
Kim Jong-il.
Kim Jong-un?
I think his dad.
His dad is Kim Jong-il.
Yeah.
And then Kim Jong-un is the
Is that true?
the third.
I might just be speaking nonsense here. No, his part of his biography is just like made up bullshit that people believe.
Yeah.
And it says that he invented the hamburger. He was born on a double rainbow.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the double I don't know. I get them all mixed up.
Is that real stuff? Do they really teach people that in North Korea?
Oh, it's indoctrination. And so if you really, like, if you think East and West Berlin, when that was divided and then Reagan came in, tear down the wall and the whole thing. Now, that city was basically divided only for, I think, was it 20 or 30 years? Somewhere around. It came down in, like, what was it, in 80s?
87?
7, maybe. And then
Mr. Gorbachev.
Tear down that wall. Yeah. Well, I mean, Gorbachev, he was Russian.
Or I thought it was Gorbachev, was it not? Mr.
Who's tearing down the wall? I mean, what wall? Gorbachev, he's Russian. He was the Russian guy.
I thought that was the quote. Maybe I'm wrong. Mr. Gorbachev.
Well, basically, tear down that wall. I think that's what Reagan was alluding to. Was the Berlin Wall.
Well, he did say tear down that wall.
I mean, that's Germany. Regardless, the thing is, the wall was torn down, and the people still had the culture and the language, and one was just secluded, cloistered away, and the other one was open to Western or the world. And 20, 30 years, whatever it was, not long enough to really create a divide. But now South Korea, the Korean War ended in, like, I think 52 or 53, and it's the DMZ, the 37 parallel that runs it runs between North and South Korea, and it's barbed wired, and it's like, I don't know, 5 kilometers from north to south. It goes along the way, and it's kind of a natural habitat for animals now, very heavily mined. But if reunification has kind of been a thing that I've talked to people about, and do you even want it? Because the North Koreans are really indoctrinated into the cult of personality, which is the Kim family.
Right.
The father, who was backed by, like Stalin, and
they're all in on that stuff.
Well,
they believe it wholeheartedly.
Who? The populace? Not necessarily. I mean, if they don't, they're dead. So, I mean, they don't have a choice. There's no choice, man. It's not A, B, or C. It's no. You get A.
That's hard to imagine.
If there is an election, well, it ain't 51-40, or it ain't 51-49. It's 99.7. How did he do it?
Man, he pulled it off again.
Just
like Grandpa.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And people, do you think that they actually believe it, though? I mean,
the people that are probably getting the payment to tote the party line, no. And the people that are getting screwed, no. The people that are educated in their system, yes, to a degree. But there are documentaries out there that show different people trying to get in, like USB little drives, and
bring them over there.
And they would float balloons over or do all kinds of different things to kind of. It's all about propaganda, man. I mean, and propaganda is alive and well here in America. Just driving around listening to talk radio, and I mean it's just as deep here as it is there. It's just a different country and a different.
But we have a choice here. They don't.
You like to think you do.
I mean, I could say fuck you to anybody on any side freely.
You can say that.
If I said that in North Korea,
that's true.
Like if I said fuck Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, they wouldn't understand you because they only speak Korean.
So I could
you
say
have to say I shipokisaki.
Okay, so if I said that, if you
said that, you might get shot.
You think so?
Probably. Yeah.
If I was just in the middle, I don't even know what their cities look like. Let's say I'm out in the middle of the street.
Well, how about this? Google this: North Korea at night, and you'll see
Everything
a satellite image at night, and you'll see North Korea and South Korea and the rest of Asia, and all of the lights, what's lit. Japan.
He just kills the lights every day.
No, they don't have electricity. They don't.
North Korea doesn't?
No, they have no infrastructure. Their infrastructure is shot. Right after the Korean War, North Korea was doing much better economically than South Korea was. And then they had famine and flooding and certain natural disasters that obviously God hated them. But so
they're doing bad stuff.
So they, so they did go down, and South Korea is one of the small, what do they call it, little tigers of East Asia, economic, and they were hard-working mofos, man. The generation that now, this is one other thing. My dad, actually, he was in the Korean War. He was drafted, and he served in the Korean War for 1 year. So when I first went to Korea, and I told my sister, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to go back overseas. She's like, yeah, where? I think South Korea offered me a job. She's like, Steven, Dad was in the Korean War. I'm like, that's true. It's like that might not be very good. that might be uncomfortable.
Might be kind of weird. Yeah.
So I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I'm thinking about going overseas. And he's like, yeah, where? And it's like South Korea. And he's like, yeah. It's like, well, all right, let's go down and take a look. So we went down in the basement, and my dad was quite old I'm the youngest of 9 children, so he was getting up there already, but he was very tech savvy. He loved the computers and the whole thing. And we went down and looked on the internet, and he just, from then on, he kind of started opening up about his experiences in Korea. So it was kind of cathartic for him, I think, in a lot of ways, that his youngest went over there and got a job and experienced that part of the world very much differently than he had.
Yeah. So he was a supporter.
So he supported it. And as I said, I think it was cathartic for him to see me, sending. He never did come over. I had a few family members that came to visit, but he says, nah, I don't need that.
Yeah.
But you do you. You do you over there. That's cool.
It's understandable.
Yeah, totally. I totally understand.
That's where Father Capon was.
That's right. Emil Capon, yeah. He was up. I think he was where he was captured. It was either in the DMZ or into North Korea.
And his remains were just returned.
That's right. Yeah,
last
I saw
year,
that.
I think.
Yep.
Amazing for everybody involved. All the family members that never got that closure. To see him rolling back through Kansas, pretty cool. I mean, that guy was a maniac.
Capon?
Oh yeah. Have you ever read his story? How much of a savage he was?
Well, do tell.
He was completely selfless.
Oh, yeah.
More than anybody you could ever imagine. Just a complete servant to the people.
When he was captured and walking with the other POWs and how he basically helped with solace and physical and
he was fearless
spiritual.
too.
Yeah,
he didn't give a fuck.
He gave his
life
up to his belief.
He did, yeah.
And that's commendable.
I mean, there's that famous picture of him holding up his pipe. Have you seen that?
Probably.
It's got shot out of his mouth.
Oh,
with
really?
A rifle. They just blew the end of the pipe off, and he's holding it up, just smiling, like.
Yeah, there's
no fucks given.
That's if for all of the religious people out there, if you truly believe in your faith, then live as Father Capon did.
Exactly. Yeah.
No fucks given.
He's the role model.
Because
who cares? You're here to serve, and
when you're done, and
time is up. It's up.
Hopefully, you know.
Hopefully,
where you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's your.
Yeah. No, he's definitely a hero for sure. Right. One of my favorite people to read about.
Yeah. So he was throughout, and my dad actually, when he was over there, he started out, he was drafted. He didn't want to go, and that was before the fight or flight to Canada during the Vietnam era. So he did his due diligence, went over there for a year, and he was a heavy water cooled machine gun, I think he carried.
Oh, really?
On the front line. And he told me some stories, about how people, they'd take the north or south of this hill, and the east and west was bombarded, and then they'd go back and take the same damn hill, and they'd be over here digging in and just hunkering down, and so he made a deal with God, and he was going to come back and be a priest, actually.
Really?
He went to the seminary even, and when he was over in Korea, he met a guy that he was in the seminary. He was actually in the seminary before he went to Korea, so he met a guy in Korea that was a chaplain's assistant, and he was going back home, and he put my dad's name in to the administration or whatever, and he said, James Walker, I think this might be your next cat to drive around behind the front lines with a chaplain set up mass on the front of a Jeep, and he was, I don't know, hired or told, selected to do that, and that's why I'm sitting here, and I have 8 siblings.
Wow. That
are fairly successful, as well, because had he probably been on the front line, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's incredible how that stuff works out.
It really
like
is.
That.
Makes
and
you
when
think.
you look at it in hindsight, you're like, wow, only this one minuscule little thing could have happened, and none of this would have happened.
That's
crazy
that
how stuff
butterfly
works.
effect or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real thing. You never think of it that way, though, when you're making small decisions in your life.
Not at all.
It's always hindsight.
Yeah, the small decisions sometimes, it depends on how you go into that decision as well. It's like, are you negative or are you positive?
Yeah.
If you go into it and say, yeah, I'm going to try that, rather than, it's not going to work out.
And
Intention. Where intention goes, energy flows is the thing, right?
So you've always had that mindset?
That universal concept. No, I'm negative as hell.
Are you?
2 negatives make a positive, though. Don't you understand?
That means we should have a very positive podcast here.
Well, I hope so.
Because I'm a negative, you're a negative.
Yeah, so that's very positive. So on that positive note, I think I'm going to crack one more.
Yeah. We got plenty here.
Yeah, I noticed that there's 12.
We can do another bomb if you want.
If you want.
I'm down.
All right. Well, let me...
If you don't want to, you can say no, though.
I don't
want to be like Jeffrey Dahmer here. Like, come on, man. Let's do another shot. Do
I need to call my mommy? I do know a cop over in this area, so don't.
Is it Mark Hinkle?
No, actually, Craig Brasser.
Okay.
You know who he is?
I don't.
Well, he was a cop in college. He was a schoolmate of mine, and then I was supposed to meet him actually before here, but
now you got to meet him after.
Well, if he's still a cop, I probably shouldn't meet him after. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
I'm gonna be Ubering it.
I feel you. Yep. As will I.
Yes.
Or sleep in the studio. Had to do that before.
Yeah, I've slept in worse places, that's for sure.
It's been a while since I've hit it this hard on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I like it when the guests
I hope not
down
to
for it.
Paint a naughty picture of expats.
I know. We don't want to taint your image here.
No.
We don't want to taint your image. So,
because a good expat is an ambassador to the country that you're from. When you're living overseas, you have to act appropriately. Now, but I'm back home, so I can.
Yeah, you're back home. You're showing them how the culture works, how the culture is here.
Yes.
So make sure you show this to all your Korean kids.
No, probably not. But hopefully, I will be getting you some views from people around the. Facebook is a great way to connect with people. Regardless of the politics of Mark Zuckerberg and the whole metaverse thing or whatever he's doing.
Yeah,
I think that you use technology for whatever's conducive to yourself.
It's a necessity now if you're doing something like I'm doing.
For sure, and I think you're doing a good job.
That's all I really use it for.
You have to be self-promoting. You have to be a good self-promoter.
I know, and I hate it.
I'm not one either.
It's the worst part.
It really is. That's why people get paid for that.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you know who Bill Hicks is by any chance?
I love Bill Hicks.
Okay,
yes.
Well, that advertising shtick that he does. If you're in advertising, kill yourself. Smoke a tailpipe. There's nothing that you do that has any relevance to you. I mean,
sitting there smoking a cigarette on stage saying this, I can hear it right now.
Oh, that's that Bill Hicks. He's going after that marketing dollar. It's very smart, Bill Hicks. It's like, no, goddamn it,
love
that's
it.
not what I'm saying.
I love it.
All right, so anyways, this again is, do you remember what it's called?
Nope.
All right, so that's soju and that's mekju, so it's somek.
Somek.
So it's a somek bomb.
Somek.
That's soju and that's mekju.
Alrighty, cheers, sir.
All right, so we'll drop it and then cheers.
Drop it and then cheers.
Slam it. And try not to break the glass. That's pretty refreshing.
Still surprising. I'm still surprised at how smooth that is.
It's smooth.
Really? I mean,
It's not bad.
nobody would expect that.
No, because I'll leave that for you, and you can do a shot of that on its own.
I'll have to do that before work tomorrow.
All right, on.
I'm kidding. But no, Bill Hicks, man, one of my all-time favorite comics.
Numero uno.
Just because he was basically a philosopher more than a comedian in my mind. And I love his bit when he's like sitting there reading in a Waffle House, reading a book.
Yeah.
Waitress comes up, she goes, "What are you reading for?" And he goes, "I would have understood it if she would have said, 'What are you reading?'"
Like,
but he's
"God damn
like,
it, you
"What are you
stumped me."
reading for?" He's like, "Well, I guess I don't end up working in a fucking Waffle House."
Yeah. It looks like we got ourselves a reader.
Yeah.
It's like, where am my board? I walk into a. I could.
No, he's
Bill
great.
Hicks.
For anybody out there that's listening that likes
Bill
comedy,
Hicks.
go watch old Bill Hicks. Go watch old Sam Kinison.
Sane Man is a good one. Bill and Sam Kinison, they were about the same era.
They were
And
both brilliant.
Brilliant. Sam was a bit caustic to me, though. I mean, the screaming thing kind
A
of
little over the top for you?
Yeah, a bit over the top.
It has its place, though. There's something about
sand, the why are you living in a desert skit? That really drove home when I was living in the Gambia, though.
I was going to actually mention that earlier when you were talking about these
big
people
time.
moving because the desert's growing and
Yeah,
growing.
what
And
are you living here for?
I was thinking of Sam Kinison the whole time.
Well, I mean, a good comedian, it's truth and jest, right?
Yeah.
Or jest or whatever. It's truth and comedy. That's why the kings always had their jokers. The jokers were there to kind of keep the king kind of semi-even keeled, so he doesn't get too
serious in his own head.
If nothing else, just to lighten the heavy ambiance or atmosphere of what. That's basically true. I mean, comedy. I mean, that's why comedy's so important. And I think with this cancellation culture kind of thing that's been going on for the last 5-10 years, that's dangerous, man.
It's really bad.
It's dangerous to free speech. When you start canceling people for what it's a very simple concept, and I did it when I worked television. It's like, if you don't like it,
don't listen.
turn it off.
Exactly.
Or quit.
Exactly.
Or leave. I mean, do something else.
Don't listen to it.
There are so many other opportunities and possibilities out there. You don't have to do anything.
But that's the problem, though, is people search for it. They want to be mad. They want that to consume their life. They want to find things.
Well, there's the negative thing, and if that's what you, if the negativity is what feeds your soul, then that's what you're going to receive, because the universe provides, man. You put out positive energy, it generally will come back. It's basically karma.
I believe in that.
I do too.
For sure. I don't know if I believe in it in the very literal sense that, if I break somebody's arm, my arm's going to be broken in the future.
It's not a physical thing. I think it's more of an emotional or spiritual thing, or just an energy thing, really. It's probably more energy.
It's amazing how it works out, and I don't know what the powers are behind that, if there actually is somebody sitting there watching each action and move or not, but it's crazy to watch it actually play out, because it does happen to almost everybody. The way you live your life.
Synchronicities are part of karma as well. When something synchronistic happens, it's like, wow,
they got what they deserve.
That's interesting how that kind of, and it can be both positive or negative.
Right.
Synchronicities.
Yeah.
This is karma. Universe.
But yeah, I mean, for comedy especially, cancel culture isn't helping at all.
No.
People need to lighten up.
So I'm gonna drop one other dude I like, and his name is Owen Benjamin. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Comic?
Yeah.
I haven't.
He's
Look him up real quick.
Owen Benjamin. He was basically kicked out of Hollywood. He was on he's like House Bunnies 2 or some shit, some stupid. But he was in a sitcom. He was a pianist as well. He's a very good pianist. And
The first thing on Wikipedia says an American conspiracy theorist.
well, okay, that's Wikipedia, and that's because he was canceled. He was canceled out of Hollywood. And so now where he is, he's living in, I think, Idaho or some shit, and he moved there with his family and started a farm and does a podcast, or not a podcast, he just gets online and when you go against the big boys, and what broke him away, or what ended his Hollywood career, was David Hogg and that gun thing, as well, and then the transgender thing with young people being able to decide if they're a boy, girl, or a hamster.
Right.
And he's like, no, you're not a hamster. And so his handlers, his agents, and they all dropped him. And then he was dropped from PayPal. He was dropped from YouTube. He was dropped from everything. And now, if you give him a look, Owen Benjamin, you can find him on BitChute and
all the alternatives.
To
the main ones. He's probably back on Twitter now.
He's not for everybody, but if you like real good comedy and truth telling, and he shows you. He's showing that thing right there. He's showing people how to kind of divert the system, because the system's got you by the short and curlies.
You think so?
If you're working for the man, they've got you. But if you break away from that, they can't control you. But you can still make a living depending on the followers that dig what you're doing, and that's what he's doing. He's got a legion.
Being like a content creator, is what you're saying?
Content
like building
creator.
your own following that way. What about the people that are completely content with just working a regular job, though? Do you have something against doing that?
Not at all. No, quite the alternative. I mean, coming from here, I mean, I'm still friends with a lot of old high school. I mean, just through Facebook, and I mean, I don't see them physically, but I see people, like just watched the KU game, and Mason Fairchild is a tight end for KU.
Shout out
and
Fairchilds.
his mom was Tina, who was in my class as well. It's like I love following all these people, and I love watching all these old classmates and their children do great things. And I'm just, I mean, I'm following it from afar.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And I always thought, I always said, if you're truly happy with what you're doing, you won the game. I mean, you don't have to go find yourself in Timbuktu, or, go swim in the Ganges River, or do ayahuasca in Peru, or any of that. I mean,
everybody should do that.
Well, that's on the bucket list. I've known a few people that have, and before I die, that's
not
that's
out
on
of
the
the
bucket.
question.
Huh?
For me, it's not out of the question.
And I hope it's. Yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah.
But the point is, I mean, there's a lot of people that just stay local and stay true and have family and a community and in community, that's power.
Mm-hmm.
There's no division. There's no. Your family's important, and health is probably the most important, and then family and whatever. But
yeah, there's a lot of people.
I don't know why I decided to split. I just split, and so in Korea, I don't know how much you want to talk about Korea, because we really haven't much about the job.
We haven't, yeah, we haven't.
I don't know how much time we have, but
well, we're at an hour, so
English
maybe
accents. You did a little bit of research there.
Yeah, I put a little bullet points up there just in case I lose my train of thought.
All right, that's good.
But I don't need them necessarily. I have them there just for a backup. Like, oh, okay.
Yep, good.
Yeah, the conversation has to flow. It can't be bullshit.
I
The
agree.
listeners know if it's bullshit. They can tell if I'm sitting here reading scripted questions. You know,
Well, I always tell all my students, it's like the best conversationalist is what?
I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong answer.
A good listener.
A good listener. Okay.
You have to be a good listener to be able to have a conversation.
100%.
You can't just be thinking in your mind, what's the next question, and not listening to what the person said, because then you look like a fool.
That's not real.
No.
And people watching you, this has really helped me with that a lot. I've learned how to be a good listener, and I feel like in normal conversations I have with people when I'm just doing something random,
Right.
I notice that I'm listening to them actually, and I'm not thinking, because this has trained me in that regard. You know, I know people are going to listen to this, and they can tell if I'm just sitting here like, oh, okay, whatever. What about this?
Yeah,
You know?
I'm going to say I have not met Jesse until 5 minutes before we started this.
You
And
have-
he's a very hard guy to get a hold of too.
Is that right?
A little bit. But again, I'm on the other side of the.
I don't like to mix up my private life with my
Well,
personality
that's
on this.
important, and I
know.
also think if you just jump in and start talking to someone, it's more natural.
It
and
is.
that's a better way to.
If you have good
conversation.
intentions, if you're actually in it to listen to what they're trying to say, you know,
Right.
it would be. I feel like a lot of interviews are scripted nowadays, and a lot of people already have their questions ready to go. They're going to get a point out of you because they know they can chop it up and get these little sound bites. That's all bullshit.
Yeah, if you have an angle,
Yeah,
agenda.
that's all bullshit. But that's why this format's so cool, and I think
that-
people appreciate it more now.
So is this third season that you've been doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I came across this. I saw you. Greg Smarsh was he was a senior when I was a freshman.
Okay.
So that
Yeah,
dates
quarterback.
me. Yeah, he was a quarterback. Yeah, and I was a captain.
I thought you were gonna say
I was-
he taught you.
No, I mean I played I played 6 years, junior high or whatever, 7th to 8th, and then
6 years of high
I
school.
loved it, man. And I'll have to say this: I want to cheers to the Andale team, 4-time
State champions.
state champ in a row. That's
Unbelievable.
amazing,
Unbelievable.
fantastic.
Shout out to Dylan Schmidt.
Dylan Schmidt.
What he's doing. Yeah, killing it.
I don't know,
Second biggest streak in America right now.
longest
streak.
winning streak.
Second
in
longest
the-
winning streak in the nation.
In the nation,
Yeah. Outstanding.
right down the road.
Right down the road. Cheers to the Indians.
Totally. I watch them live in Korea. I'm up at.
Do you really?
I watch Andale play on NFHS. I think is this. I pay a little bit of
I
money.
watch the state
to watch
game,
that.
too.
Yeah, I watch the state games. So that's a Friday night. So I'm up on Saturday morning watching that game, and then I'll watch Benedictine play when the football season comes around.
And these
My-
are all in the
my
middle of the
wife-
night for you?
Oh yeah, it's like 12 o'clock kickoff in Atchison is about 3 a.m. in Korea. So I'm married. I'm married to a Korean woman,
Mm-hmm.
and I just tell her it's football season. Just
Staying up all night.
you
think
get
anything
the
of it.
cats. You just
You go do your thing.
snuggle in with those cats, and I'll see you in the morning. And
Does
then
she
I'll
speak
watch.
English?
I'll watch KU. I'll watch K State. I don't have like the banner anymore.
Yeah.
I enjoy just watching Kansas do well in sports.
They all look like one probably from afar. It's not
What
as
do you mean?
divided as it is when you live in the middle of it. Watching
Well, I
KU,
just, you know,
K-State.
I'm proud to be from Kansas and watch. KU just played tonight, and I don't know how I don't think they did well, but
I don't
K
think so.
State's playing
Sugar Bowl.
in
Against
2
Bama.
days,
Yeah, the 31st. So it'll already been done.
and you're not going down there.
I'm not. No,
Yeah.
my buddy is. I kind of wanted to, but
Yeah.
like, I'd probably be better off just sitting at home doing my beer bongs for every touchdown. No bullshit.
Yeah, as you get older, it's better just to kind of settle in.
Just settle in and watch it on your TV. Yeah. So whoever's listening to this right now, it's probably already done.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the
victor.
K-State Wildcats
the Wildcats.
on the hard fight. Hopefully, it resulted in a victory.
They've had a great season.
Amazing season.
Mm-hmm.
This might be one of the biggest games of all time for them. Honestly, never played Bama. Never been in the Sugar Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's a lot on the line.
So, yeah.
Do you think Vaughn will come back?
Yeah,
You do?
I do.
I hope so.
That's probably me just saying that because I want him to.
All right.
But he said he's not even thinking about it or considering anything until end of the season.
Right, and
So.
that's what his agents told him to say.
Probably. Yeah.
All right,
But
so
I
hey,
buy into it.
before I don't know how long you want to go with this, but if there is some certain things about teaching, because it is about careers. I
Right.
mean, if you have some certain things you want to touch on specifically, then I'll just.
I'm going to let you run with that. What do you think is important for people to know about this?
Well, so if anyone's interested in teaching overseas, now when I started, you didn't have to have a master's. Basically, you could have a bachelor's. Yeah, you had to. Well, for Hagwons, I mean, back in the day. Now I'm just going to cut to now. Now there's a lot more rules, just because you had a bunch of economic refugees coming through. Basically, like people that travel for a bit nefarious reasons. They're not there to like be an ambassador for your country necessarily, but party and
They just want to
just be arseholes.
get off the rock for a while.
I mean, I'm talking like Canadians, Americans, different nationals coming to go teach. I'm going to go teach English.
And they're doing it for bullshit reasons.
Well, they're just there to party.
Yeah.
And don't give a shit. And we've all kind of gone through that a little bit, depending on your age. But let's just now, if you are interested in teaching in Japan, China, Korea, the Hagwon or the private institutes would be the stepping stone to get into the country. They paid for my ticket to go over and return, and then they paid you monthly. But at that time, you really just needed a bachelor's in something. I mean, I know a guy from MIT. His name is Thunderstorm. He's a Native American.
His real name?
Yep. His name is Thunderstorm Van Brocklin. Good friend, and he teaches, and he went to MIT. I know an Irish guy. He was a microbiologist. He teaches English over there. I know.
So you just need the degree.
Philosophers and all these different. You had to have a degree. Now, if you're wanting like a bigger university, you can still probably get Hagwons no problem with a bachelor's, which is teaching children. There's children Hagwons and then there's adult Hagwons. You can do both.
Okay.
I recommend adults just because it's just conversationally, it's just more engaging. But if you want a university gig, you're going to have to get a master's. And that's good because it weeds out all the assholes and all the people that are just there for, like I said, being an economic refugee. They're fleeing their homeland to try and find a cheap, when I got there, I mean, we always used to call it the golden ticket just because it was decent money for what you did.
Yeah.
And at a university there, I mean, I'm off now for 2 months in the winter, and then I'm off for 2 months in the summer.
What's your workload like?
I teach. It depends. It always changes from semester to semester. Anywhere. When I first started, it was 12 hours a week.
12 hours a week?
Yeah, which was about 6 classes. And now I've been anywhere from, I think the minimum is 15 or 16 hours and I've taught upwards of 20, 24.
That's
and
hours.
That's overtime.
Is that college credit hours or is that
so one
hours
class,
you're actually working?
Yeah, one class. So if I teach 16 hours, then I'd be teaching 8 classes. One class is 2 hours.
How many
a
hours
week.
would you say that is for you, just working it?
Well, as a teacher, I mean, you're in class for 2 hours with the student, and then if you give the homework, if you prepare, prep work and grading is as a teacher, you always take that stuff home. You're not clocking in and clocking out necessarily. I'll work on stuff whenever.
But are you swamped usually, or
No.
would you say it's a lighter load than a normal 40-hour job?
Rarely am I stressed. rarely am I stressed. I mean, and then, when I taught children, I was a bit more stressed just because that was kind of a sweatshop kind of, those little hogwans. You don't want to do that long
Little
term.
hogwans. I'm going to use that term.
Those little hogwans. You little hogwan.
You little hogwans.
you little academy. They'll work you. They'll work you. I mean, when the one and only that I worked was when I first. That got me to Korea, in Seoul, and I worked. I think it was like noon till 7 p.m. And so I started with kindergarten. And I finished with
and then you're still taking work home.
No, that was just
there.
there. But it was just sweatshop, one after the other, 5-minute. I hated it. I wouldn't have continued it. But then I got into Seoul and I networked. I started networking. I met people, and then I met this guy from Ireland that worked with me, and he got a job at the university, and I followed his coattails down to the university. And it's like, okay, well, this is not bad.
Now you pretty much do your
And
thing.
then, so I did that for about 4 years. And I'm like, well, I think it's time for me to like take this teaching thing to the next level and actually get a master's. So I got a master's in TESOL through it. You can get them. It's called a field-based, and that's something I recommend if you're interested in teaching overseas. I did it field-based because that meant I was already living overseas. But you can, if you're in America and you're wanting to do this, you can do it all in America. But when I was living in Korea, I did it through Azusa Pacific University, which is out of Azusa, California.
Uh-huh.
And if you remember Christian Okoye,
I don't.
he's a Kansas City running back, the Nigerian Nightmare.
Okay, I know that.
He went to
I know the
Azusa.
name.
That's his alma mater.
What year was that?
I don't remember.
That he retired?
A long time ago, before you were born.
Probably. Otherwise, I would know.
Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare. Ask your dad. So anyways, the field-based, if you're already overseas, you can do field-based, which means you do a lot of the book work and reporting and whatnot during that, while you're working as well. But then in the summer, so for Azusa Pacific, I traveled to Chiang Mai, Thailand for
shit.
2 weeks. Each winter for 2 winters, and then I traveled to Azusa, California
Some good
for
food.
3.
Chiang Mai.
I love Thailand. I've been there many times.
That's on my bucket list.
Thailand's
I
awesome.
need to get my ass out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Thai food. There's some good places here in Wichita, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually a place
looking.
called Chiang Mai that's really good.
Okay.
And
That's where I got my master's. Is partly through Chiang Mai, partly through Azusa, and then so
and that's required to become a professor at a university.
a master's degree, degree in English, a master's degree in it. I mean, the bar has been raised, let's just say, and the Koreans. There are still 7 countries that they like to kind of pull in from the pool, as to who's going to be teaching their children, and it's they're strong economic countries. So like Canada, the United States, New Zealand, Australia, South America. I'm sorry, not South America. South Africa, and did I say Ireland? UK. But I mean I meet all kinds. I mean Filipinos teach English in Korea. I've met South Africa. I mean, I've met them all. I've met people from all over the world, and that's one of the interesting things about teaching overseas or living overseas, being an expat overseas, is you really, I mean, you get to meet all the crazy, wild.
It's such a unique position.
People that also want to go over and check things out,
Right. And I love that you're talking about it, because this isn't something that people would normally think of when they're thinking about what kind of career could I do? What could I possibly end up at?
That's right.
It's never something that crosses people's minds, probably.
Not much.
Not mine, anyways.
It never did mine either. Not until I decided, well, I got to get out of here, man, or else I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die in this cell block Cake TV. No offense, Cake TV.
And it's called
love you.
TESOL. So that's an acronym you've been using.
TESOL is teaching English to students of other languages.
Teaching English to students
of other languages. And then there's TEFL, which is teaching English as a foreign language.
Okay.
And so I think if you can be a TEFL teacher, which is teaching English as a foreign language, I think that one is over here. And then I would be technically a TESOL, teaching to students of other languages. It's basically the same thing. It's teaching English.
Where do you find a place to apply for this kind of job? If I wanted to go out and be a TESOL tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, good question. Very good question. Dave's ESL Cafe. Dave's, Daves, as in Dave. ESL, English as a second language, ESLcafe.com. Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, probably, China, Japan, Korea, Papua New Guinea. I mean,
and it requires a bachelor's or a master's. Sorry, I didn't get that clarified.
It all depends on who you teach. At a university, if you want to teach at a university in Korea, then you'd have to have a master's these days.
And you're employed by the university, right?
It's a private university. I'm employed by the university, nothing to do with American government.
So being a TESOL is just a title. It's not.
There's
not a company that does this and pays you to do this.
No, that's just like I have a degree in English language and literature. I have a degree in underwater basket weaving.
That's a good one to get.
Well,
that's a booming business.
Yeah, that was my minor. I learned that in Thailand when I was doing scuba.
Yeah?
Yeah, underwater basket
weaving.
Mm-hmm. As I was getting my master's.
That's a good one, man.
I got to keep active, dude.
You do.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to do it. Low impact on the joints.
Yeah, swimming. That's second best exercise in the world. Swimming.
Well, obviously.
Do you scuba? Do you scuba? Do you go underwater?
I've scubaed once in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going back in April, so I'm going to do it some more and try to really get involved in it because I haven't done it. I did it, the beginners, maybe intermediate. You can consider scuba in Hawaii, where you go down and look at the reefs and the fish. Forgot my camera.
It's a whole different world. Scuba diving. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just as going overseas and just traveling. The thing is like a lot of people travel, and that's great. But to actually live overseas for an extended period of time, be it 3 months, a year, 2 years, 20 years.
It's different.
I think, it's like you're only going on, you're spinning around here for however long.
You've been in Korea for 20 years now.
Over.
Is that something, are you going to die in Korea?
Jesus. Ask my wife.
Is it a place that you want to stay at forever?
Well, I am married to a Korean woman.
Does she speak English?
She does speak. I speak some Korean and she speaks English, but not fluently, either of us. So it keeps us both on our toes.
So she was a student?
No. No. That's a good question. You're naughty, dude.
That's where my mind goes.
I don't shit where I sleep, or
That's a good philosophy.
I learned that a long time ago.
That's a good way to live. You don't
many fishes out in the sea. Let's just say that.
No need to muddy the waters you swim in.
No. I keep business on the up and.
It's just, I had to ask.
Is business.
I mean, if you're married to a Korean woman, can't speak English, you're there teaching English.
Well, I didn't say she doesn't speak any English. I mean, she speaks better English than I probably speak Korean. Although it depends on what we're talking about, but it's usually.
Have you brought her to America?
She just left this morning.
Really?
Yep.
First time?
No. I brought her in about 4 years ago before we got married. So I got married a little bit late in life.
I respect that.
I just kind of fell in love with travel, and I've been to upwards of between 30 and 40 different countries.
Oh, shit.
And I've lived in, like I said, I lived in the Czech for a while and just went throughout Europe and Asia. Haven't been to South America yet.
Yeah.
But that's on the bucket list. In the Hiawassee.
Further than Mexico, at least.
Yeah. But No, what was the wife and the Bring Me Back?
I don't know what I was going with there. What was her? What's the biggest culture shock to her coming to America?
Oh yeah, so I just took her on. I put her on the airplane. It's just how immensely huge it is. How big this country is.
Yeah.
The first time we came, we flew into San Francisco. We drove up to Bend, Oregon, and then across to Yellowstone and down through Rocky Mountain National Park, and then cruise control I-70 all the way from Denver to
Wichita, yeah.
And it's just like, God,
7 hours
get
and
me
nothing.
out of here, please. This is it's like, am I in an alternate universe here?
Yep.
What is going on
Eastern
here? You have
Colorado.
not turned for 7 hours, dude.
You don't have to. That's where autonomous cars would be perfect. I-70.
Yeah. So so she's been here twice, and she was here. This was this last time. The first time was in before we got married, and it was in the summer, and then she came for the holidays. And yeah, I mean,
Did you give her some Taco Bell?
I took her up to Kansas City to the Plaza yesterday or 2 days ago, and yesterday. No Taco Bell. I got her good barbecue because in Korea barbecue is very big.
I love me some Korean barbecue.
The galbi,
And I haven't had the good
Bak
shit
galbi
probably,
and
but from what I
daiji
have had,
galbi and so galbi and the beef, the pork, the chicken, all of it.
bulgogi.
Bulgogi, yeah. And now you have to
From
throw
what
the
I've had.
sojin.
Yep,
Throw
now I got the
soju
sojin.
Yeah.
And there's another tradition there that you probably haven't done, I would assume, but it's the live octopus they wrap.
I have, yeah.
You've done that?
Yeah.
Wrap it on the
Not
chopsticks.
often. Not often. I don't.
People die from
I
that,
think it's
right?
called nakchi. Nakchi is, well, I mean the old man that stabs it and sticks it in, and the octopus is like fighting
Sticks to his
back,
throat.
and he suffocates. I don't know if that
Is
actually
that an
happened
American
or-
myth?
I don't know. I don't know anybody that suffocated on an octopi. Octopus.
But you have done it.
I've eaten where they've chopped. I mean, sushi is basically raw, still living. I mean, if you get fresh sushi and they cut it, you can still see the cells moving around in that fish.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
When they slice it and stick it right in front of your face, it's like you still see the cells.
So that's a normal dish in Korea where the octopus is still moving about?
Well, I mean, is it normal? I mean, it costs money, and it.
It's like eating a dry
I mean, it's a specialty.
filet
It's
mignon
a specialty.
here.
It's not an everyday thing. But you go out with the boys and have
some
some
live octopus.
soju and drinks and do the business.
Yeah.
And you'll, that it's virile. It's a lot of that kind of stuff is about virility. Like the dog. I mean, if you want to bring up dog, that's Korea.
So you've eaten
Dog meat. I've never eaten dog meat. It's called boshintang, and that's a soup that they make, and they usually eat that in the springtime because it's for virility. It's like
Why
snake
have you never done it?
and dog. I don't need it.
Nobody
I'm
needs
virile, baby.
it.
No, I don't eat it
need beer.
because you don't eat deer?
No, I don't need beer.
Oh, you don't need beer. I was gonna say.
It's pretty nice once I started drinking it.
Um,
Once I tried it.
I don't know. I'm an animal. Well,
Are you a vegetarian?
No, I have been. I was a
really?
vegetarian for about 4 years.
Really?
Read a really good book by John Robbins, Diet for a New America. He was the son of Baskin and Robbins.
Okay.
You know Baskin and Robbins?
I know.
And he watched his uncle die of heart attack from. Great book, changed my life. Changed my mind at that time. And now I've dabbled in all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, I've gone raw. David Wolf is a dude. I'll name
raw
drop
meat?
that guy. No, raw anything, raw food, non-cooked. I've done that for a while. Keto, I think, and carnivore are probably where I am right now.
Oh,
with
really?
the exception of carbohydrates. This beer is my nemesis, but
Everybody's nemesis.
when I'm in Korea, I mean, I'll try things out and said whatever resonates with you is what you should go for.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, balance is probably the most important thing
Probably
you should
the
listen
best.
to.
Moderation.
Moderation is key.
Including moderation.
Touche.
Sometimes you need to go on a bender.
it's good to be bad.
Sometimes you need a 48-ounce ribeye.
Sometimes it's good to be bad. Sometimes you need a block of butter on that steak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Just,
hey, we're at an hour and a half now.
Okay. All right.
You want to give the world a message, give some advice? Tell people
all right. Well, here's what's the advice? I didn't prepare anything.
you don't,
There's MASH. Have you ever seen MASH?
yeah, for
And
sure.
Sidney Friedman, that was a psychiatrist on that show. And he's like, what's the word, Sidney? And he's like, something about, if you want a word of advice, take down your pants and slide on the ice. I think that's what he said. Which basically is, don't take yourself too seriously and have some fun, because we're all, it's going to be over before you know it. It really is.
I agree with that 100%.
And so, and here's one more. This is one of my favorite quotes, and it's, I've never met a man on his deathbed that said, "I wish I would have spent more time in the office." Right? That's pretty heavy.
That rings true, yeah.
That
checks out.
Because a lot of us grow accustomed to like chasing that, and how many toys do you have in the garage, and you ain't taking any of that shit with you, dude. None of it's going with you. So what are you doing? You're either creating memories, experience, and being positive, hopefully, for others as well as yourself. And then as far as jobs and careers, don't take yourself seriously with that either, I would say, in the sense that, you just jump in the river and make sure your feet are facing forward.
Yep.
So you don't slam your face into something and
face plant into a rock.
You just go down that river and navigate the logs and whatever, and you might go to the right or the left, and you never know really where you're going to end up. And so two things that I've done, so I've written this again, when you're talking about self-promotion, I'm going to do a shameless plug.
Do it, man. Fuck yeah.
So this is
You
a
wrote
book.
this?
That's a memoir.
Attitude Adjustment. Humorously honest look back at mind-altering, life-changing Peace Corps experience in the Gambia, West Africa. So
that's what happened in Africa. I when I got back, I started writing it, and then I put it on the shelf for a long time. And then when I went to Korea, I started. I'm a journalism major, dude. I'm at the end of the day, right?
That's
so
true.
I do write.
Your true love was writing from the start.
Well, my true love was art. My true love was like being. I'm right brain, man. I'm not left brain.
Yeah.
At all.
I love that.
I'm very right brain.
Those are the most fun kind of people to talk to,
Well, yeah, I'm way outside that box.
But it makes the podcast a lot longer when I talk to people like that.
All right, so you can edit it.
I'm not going to edit it. Fuck that.
And then this is a little bit. This is what I use. I've created this book, and I teach it in some of my classes. So this is basically what happens.
I can see it.
So this is what happens when you do a lot of different jobs, and then at the end of the day, you use all those skills and create something. So I was a photographer, traveler, and an English teacher, and so all of these photos in this book are all of my own. I don't owe anybody anything.
Really?
I designed it. I self-published it. So I'm a self-published author in both academic, like English education, as well as like whatever you'd call that,
You're kidding
memoir.
me.
So I did all this on Adobe, and every photo you see is my own. I did it all on InDesign, and I teach this, and I'm on my second edition now.
No shit.
So I've sold over 1,000 of these,
really,
and taught over 1,000 of these books at my university.
Where can we buy these? Can we buy these in the States?
The revised edition. Again, now this book is for students wanting to learn English. This is a teacher. I'll give you this book, but this book now this book is just a novel. This is for English speaking people that are interested in travel or memoirs or whatever.
Can we buy this? in
Yeah,
the
you
States?
can buy that on Amazon.
On Amazon?
Yep.
Latitude Adjustment by Stephen
Latitude
Walker.
with 2 T's. Attitude has 2 T's. Latitude has 1. Latitude,
Very
longitude,
true.
right?
Very true.
So that's kind of a play on words. I put attitude and latitude together, and that's my email address
Oh, okay.
that I made many, many, many years ago. Latitude. It's a play on words, but I just decided to. I started writing when I came back, and then I just put it on the shelf for like 20 years, and I'm like, screw it, because I shopped it around, and I wanted to I had like a friend of mine from San Francisco put me in touch with a producer or a publisher. He's like, yeah, well, we like what you did, but it's not gonna be suiting our. And it's like, all right, whatever. I'll just put it on the shelf. And now these days, everybody and their dog can self-publish.
No kidding. Yeah.
And everybody and their dog can do a podcast, and everybody and their dog can do whatever niche you're digging, whatever thing you like. If you know who Alan Watt is, do you know who he is? He's a philosopher, English. I recommend him, and I recommend, basically Alan Watt. I would recommend checking out Alan Watt because he talks about what if money was no object. And it's about a 3-minute thing, and I show this to my students. What is your passion? What makes your boat float?
Yeah.
What really, because if you have a passion in life, he suggests go for that. Because if you hone your ability and skill, and you have love for it, you'll never work a day in your life, as you've heard that one before.
Yep.
And then that niche, you'll always find people, especially because media's the World Wide Web, the whole thing is all connected now. I tell my students that all the time. Think outside the box. You have conventional, now you have non-conventional. We look at both. And non-conventional, you don't have to go to 9 to 5. You don't have to do what mom and dad did. And it's all at your fingertips. It just depends on how hard you want to work. And if you have something that other people want, and what Alan Watts says as well, that 3-minute thing, what if money was no object? If you watch that, it basically says, you can do, why not do what you love? Why not live a shorter life that's doing what you love as opposed to a longer life that's full of regret
100%.
and
100%.
Just
What are you prolonging it for?
boredom, It's like,
yeah.
What are you waiting to retire to enjoy yourself?
And then they never do.
Well, people that retire generally die in about 3 years because they're bored. Because they've been working their balls off until they retired, and now all of a sudden I'm retired. Now what am I going to do? I'm too old to learn how to surf. I'm
Too old to do anything. I'm just going to sit my ass down and die.
I'm not going to hit Waimea, brah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta find a place that's going to accept me and my Blue Shield or whatever.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I agree. What you just said there, that's beautiful. That's perfect. I agree with that wholeheartedly. To caveat off of that, though, with content creation, I would advise people to never create something because they think other people are going to like it.
No, don't do that.
That never works out. You have to just kind of...
You're placating. You're
It's not genuine.
No, it's not genuine. That's not the niche.
And that's the key, is it has to be genuine. It has to be something you actually like doing.
I think people get it when they realize that it's genuine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how things work out.
And I say I would tell you that this is genuine. When I watched you interview Greg Smarsh, and I'm like, I had a connection. It's like, oh wow, that's Colwich. That kid's from Colwich, and there's Greg, and that's cool. And then I watched a few more of your vids, and it's like, all right, he's not going close to home, but he's interviewing all these different kinds of people, and then
Anybody that wants to,
and it's. I told my nephew about it, and he's just like, yeah, that's kind of like that. What's that dude that does like the dirty job thing or something?
Oh, Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe.
Yeah, he does the dirty jobs.
you know,
He highlights people that work everyday lives.
but it's just real. It's just real conversation, and people that are out there that are at maybe a crossroads.
Maybe.
You know, and there's another one. I mean, I'm full of quotes because I'm an English teacher now, but it's like, two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled, and that made all the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does. It's like you
That was
if
who was that?
Are you going to
Was that
get
Mark
rich?
Twain?
It was Thoreau.
Oh, Henry
Sure it
David
was
Thoreau. Right?
Don't quote me on
But no, man, I don't expect anything from this. I never did, never will. It's just it's not a new concept, but it's different enough, and I enjoy doing it. So
well, you're not going to reinvent the wheel.
No.
You're not going to reinvent the wheel, but as long as, again, it's the niche. The niche is where you
find that's
the niche is the best.
Sliver of people out there that enjoy your content,
The West is the best. The niche
Damn
is
right. Amen to that.
as the Lizard King used to say. We're gonna wind this down.
We better wind it down.
All right. Before we wind it all the way down, I'd like to make a toast to a buddy that passed from this area. His name was Kurt Moore, and he was a fireman, and he was in my class, and I grew up about a mile away from him, and he died about 2 months ago or 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who he is?
I didn't know him personally, but I do know of who he is.
From this area. So I'd like to just say, I'd like to raise a glass to Kurt Moore.
Cheers,
and
Cheers,
a couple
Kurt.
other guys from Andale, Tim Georges and Dave Stanhope. Time is short, man. It's like, I come home and this person, that person
is gone.
Are gone, and you just got to enjoy yourself to a point of the present, the presence of present, as they say, right? So, anyways, cheers to Kurt Moore and his family.
Cheers.
And cheers to you, Jesse. You didn't know me, and I just kind of contact you, but, self-promotion's key if anybody's out there wanting to do their thing. And if you want to go overseas, you can contact me at latitudeadjustment@hotmail.com, which is
in my description. Go look at it.
Yeah, you can do that. You can email me, and I can give you information on East Asia. There's all kinds of countries you can work at for the experience, or it might be a career. Who knows? I never thought I'd be teaching. Not a chance in hell.
But those are the fun stories, right? Those are the fun ones to listen to.
Yeah, it's like
somebody that ended up somewhere
and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change it.
And I love that. That's a beautiful thing.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. It means
My
the world to me.
pleasure, dude.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All the way from South Korea, folks.
Represent.
Stephen Walker, go buy his book. All of that stuff is on my pages, in my description. Go find it. Go look at it. I'm going to buy one of these off Amazon tonight.
Right on.
So, cheers, sir, and thank you for all the good conversation.
All right. Good luck to you, and I hope that this keeps rocking and rolling.
Hope we cross paths again at some point.
Well, come to Korea.
It's not out of the question.
I've actually, I real quick, I have a YouTube channel that I use with this book.
Oh, okay.
And I interview different people from different countries.
Do you really?
I have 16 different videos, and this little thing right here. We're gonna keep it real short. Don't worry. But that's 40 questions, and my channel's called 40 Questions. Tell me about it. 40 Questions.
40 Questions is the name of the channel?
40 Questions, yeah, on YouTube, and basically each unit, there's 8 units, 5 questions per unit. And basically, this book is each student chooses a country they want to travel to. They research it, and then they share the information in English in the class.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's a multicultural kind of sharing of knowledge. So if there's 20 students, there's 20 different countries and cultures that are being talked about.
Okay.
And so part of my language listening comprehension thing is I've also created a channel on YouTube. Production quality sucks, nowhere near this quality, but it's good enough for what I'm doing it for, and it just goes to show that the technology's there waiting for you, really. And it's just a matter of
it's right in front of you. You just got to get behind it.
Don't be afraid of it.
Just download it, get behind your keyboard.
And then
Watch
take the
YouTube.
plunge, man.
Take the plunge. That's
One
all it
step
is.
in front of the other.
That's all it is.
All right.
Great conversation, man. Thank you so
All right.
much.
감사합니다.
How do I say cheers in Korean?
Cheers. Well, gunbae is kind of like
Gunbae?
gunbae is what we said. Cheer. Gunbae is what we started out with, and 감사합니다 is thank you.
감사합니다. Gunbae.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Go ahead.
Gunbae. Really had a drop low, but whatever.
That was backwash.
All right, man.
Wowza.
That's it.